Welcome to fourth session of the laws of power. Today we are talking about law number 21. Let's see that. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. Robert Greene's law number 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. It is a fascinating lesson in human psychology and manipulation. It revolves around the idea that people dislike feeling less intelligent than others. If you make them believe they are smarter than you, they lower their guard, never suspecting your true intentions. This strategy has been used throughout history by con artists, by business moguls, and by politicians to outmaneuver their opponents. One of the most striking examples of this law in action is the infamous diamond hoax of 1872. Two seemingly naive prospectors, Philip Arnold and John Slack, they fooled some of the richest and most powerful men in America into believing they had discovered a diamond mine. They played the role of simple-minded countrymen, reluctant to engage with city elites. This act made financiers like Asbury, Happening, and William Ralston, they believed they were outsmarting the prospectors by offering them a fraction of the mine's value. In reality, the so-called diamond mine, it was a complete fabrication. Arnold and Slack, they had cleverly planted gems they had purchased elsewhere to create the illusion of a rich discovery. By the time the truth surfaced, the conman had already disappeared. With an enormous fortune, leaving behind a trail of financial ruin. This story is not just about deception, it is about the power of perception. People want to believe they are the smartest persons in the room. When someone appears naive or when someone appears inexperienced, others tend to underestimate them. This is why many successful leaders and negotiators, they use this strategy. They let their opponents think they are weak or uninformed, only to strike when the moment is right. Even in everyday life, this law is evident. A student who acts as though they don't understand a concept may get more help from a teacher. A job candidate who pretends to be less knowledgeable, he might get more guidance from colleagues, ultimately gaining an edge in the workplace. However, this law must be used carefully. If people realize they have been deceived, the backlash can be severe. The goal is not to humiliate or exploit others, but to create an advantage in a world where perception is often more powerful than reality. By appearing less threatening, you allow others to reveal their true selves, giving you insight and control over the situation. History has shown that the most successful individuals are not always the loudest. They are not always the loudest or the most assertive. Instead, they are the ones who who understand human nature and know when to play the fool to catch the real fool. The lesson here is simple. Never underestimate the power of appearing less intelligent than you are. Whether in business or in politics or in personal lives. Letting others think they have the upper hand, it can be a powerful tool. But remember, this strategy is only effective if executed with finesse and awareness. The greatest trick is not just to play the fool, but to know exactly when to stop playing and take control. People take great pride in their intelligence, and if they believe they are smarter than you, they lower their guard. That is when opportunities arise. This strategy is not about deception. Once again, we are asserting that it's not about deception or deception for harm, but it is about using perception to gain an advantage. Many people believe that intelligence is something to display openly. They think showing off their knowledge will earn them respect. But in reality, the opposite happens. When someone feels intellectually inferior, they either become defensive or try to bring the other person down to their level. Instead of fighting unnecessary battles, it is wiser to make others feel superior. When they believe you are less intelligent, they become more open, they become more careless and easy to predict. History provides great examples of this strategy in action. What about Bismarck? We all know that Bismarck, the German statesman, he needed Austria to sign a treaty that benefited Prussia. He knew Austria's diplomat, Count Blum, prided himself on being an expert court player. The night before negotiations, Bismarck played cards with him, but intentionally made foolish moves, lost a lot of money, and appeared reckless. Blum assured that if Bismarck was so careless in a game, he must be equally reckless in politics. This assumption, it made him underestimate Bismarck's intelligence. The next day, Blum barely read the treaty and signed it without realizing that it completely favored Prussia. By pretending to be less intelligent, Bismarck achieved his goal without resistance. This principle is also found in ancient wisdom. A popular Chinese saying, it advises to kill a tiger, act like a pig. To kill a tiger, act like a pig. Hunters in old times used this trick. They wore pig skins and mimicked pig songs. The tiger, thinking it had found easy prey, let its guard down, allowing the hunter to strike at the right moment. Similarly, when dealing with overconfident people, acting simple, it can make them underestimate you, giving you an advantage. This strategy is useful in everyday life. Imagine you are in a business meeting. If you constantly prove you are the smartest person in the room, others may see you as a threat. But if you let them believe they are smarter, they will speak more openly, revealing their thoughts. This allows you to understand their weaknesses and their strengths without resistance. The same applies in negotiations, social situations, and even politics. However, this law requires balance. This law requires balance. It does not mean you should always act like foolish. It means you should control how others perceive you. Sometimes being underestimated is a great advantage. But when the time comes, you must act with intelligence and precision. When others finally realize your true capability, it should be too late for them to react. The world is full of people who overestimate their own intelligence. The key to success is not to fight their ego, but to use it against them. By making them feel superior, you gain control of the situation. This is not manipulation. This is not manipulation for harm. It is a strategy for success. Those who truly understand power, they know that the smartest person in the room is not always the one who appears to be. It is the one who lets others believe they are. So, this is the law number 21. Now, let's talk about law number 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Robert Greene's law number 22, the surrender tactic. This tactic teaches us a powerful lesson. Sometimes the best way to win is to step back, to observe, and wait for the right moment. In life, we are often taught that we must fight for our honor, never back down, and always stand our guard. But what happens when the odds are against us? What happens when fighting means sudden defeat? That is when surrender becomes the smartest choice. Not as a sign of weakness, not as a sign of weakness, but as a strategy, for ultimate victory. When you are weak, fighting only leads to destruction. People admire bravery, but they do not come to help the weaker side. No one willingly puts themselves in danger for a lost cause. If you fight when you are not ready, you gain nothing but martyrdom. And history tells us that martyrs rarely see the victories they dream of. A wise person knows when to step back, gather strength, and strike when the time is right. Surrender is not about giving up. It is about gaining time to recover, to learn, and to prepare for a comeback. Throughout history, the greatest leaders and warriors, they have understood a simple and powerful truth. When you are weak, fighting for honor alone is a fool's errand. Wise do not waste energy on pointless battles. They surrender not in defeat but in strategy. Robert Greene's law number 22. This teaches us that surrender is not about weakness. It is about survival. Patience in turning the tides when the moment is right. Look at Muhammad of Ghazni, one of history's most formidable conquerors. Though he was feared for his military strength, his true power lay in his ability to wait, his ability to strategize, and to choose his battles wisely. The most striking example of this came when he sought to expand his empire into India. Facing powerful Hindu kingdoms with vast resources. With vast resources, he was unable to fight with the Hindu kings. He did not engage in reckless warfare. Instead, he carefully studied his enemies, striking only when he saw weakness. He used diplomacy when needed, retreated when necessary, and bided his time, ensuring that every battle he fought was one he could win. By choosing his moments carefully, he conquered vast territories, plundering riches and securing his legacy as a master strategist. This same principle applied to King Kozan of Yu. After suffering a devastating defeat, he did not let pride dictate his actions. Instead, he surrendered, he humbled himself and served his enemy, all while secretly gathering intelligence and waiting for the right moment. When his enemy was weak, he struck with precision, reclaiming his kingdom with ease. Had he fought blindly, he would have perished. But through surrender, he turned his weakness into strength. Through surrender. The lesson is clear. When you are outmatched, do not fight for the sake of ego. Surrender is not submission, it is a strategy. It allows you to recover, it allows you to observe, and it allows you to plan your next move while your opponent goes compensate. The world respects power, not unnecessary sacrifice. If Muhammad of Ghazni had rushed into unwinnable battles, he would have faded into obscurity. Instead, he calculated every move, striking only when victory was assured. Likewise, when life presents challenges that seem insurmountable, do not waste energy fighting a losing battle. Step back, study the situation and wait for the right moment to reclaim your strength. History does not remember those who fought for honor and lost. It remembers those who won, no matter the path they took. True power lies in patience. True power lies in strategy. True power lies in the ability to turn setbacks into opportunities. So, the next time you find yourself at a disadvantage, do not resist blindly. Surrender with purpose. And when the time is right, take back everything that was once yours. This strategy is not just about war and politics. It applies to life, it applies to business, and it applies to personal struggle. When you are weak, fighting a battle you cannot win is pointless. A weaker adversary rarely finds support, and resistance for the sake of pride only leads to destruction. Instead, surrendering strategically, it gives time to recover, observe, and plan a stronger return. It confuses the opponent, making them complacent and blind to the hidden power being accumulated. In our everyday lives, we face situations where fighting back seems like the only option. But sometimes stepping back is the wiser choice. A business struggling in a competitive market, it should not waste resources fighting dominant players head on. Instead, it should study the weaknesses of competitors, build strength in silence, and make a powerful comeback. a person facing personal failure, he should not force success out of desperation. Instead, they should accept temporary setbacks, they should learn, they should adapt, and they should return stronger. Surrender is not submission. Once again, I am telling you, surrender is not submission. It is a tactic, a conscious choice, a hidden strength. It does not mean giving up. It means knowing when to fight and when to wait. Many people mistake surrender for weakness, but in reality, it is often the best way to survive and thrive. It teaches patience, it teaches discipline, and it teaches the ability to control emotions. Victory does not always belong to those who fight the loudest. Sometimes it belongs to those who know when to be silent. Who know when to be silent. The one who can kneel today may rise as a ruler tomorrow. So, in moments of struggle, do not see surrender as defeat. See it as an investment in a future victory. Because those who master the art of surrender do not just survive, they dominate. So, this is the law number 20. Now let's turn to law number 20. Concentrate your forces. Concentrate your forces. Concentrate your forces is the 23rd law. Robert Greene, in his book, The 48 Laws of Power, it's the 23rd law. It presents a profound principle in law number this 23rd. Concentrate your forces. This law is a game changer. It is a game changer for anyone seeking success, influence, and mastery in life. It teaches us that power is not about doing everything at once. It is about focusing energy on one thing until it is conquered. Those who scatter their efforts in multiple directions, they achieve little. While those who concentrate their strength in one area, they create an impact that cannot be ignored. In life, there are two kinds of people. Those who chase after every opportunity, and those who choose one path and commit to it with all their might. The first group is like a butterfly. The first group is like a butterfly flitting from flower to flower, never staying long enough to extract the full nectar. The second group is like a miner who digs deep into a single rich vein of gold, extracting more wealth than the one who digs shallow pits all over the place. History is filled with examples that prove the power of concentration. Ancient Athens served as a cautionary tale. Instead of focusing on strengthening its core, it lusted after the distant island of Sicily, stretching its forces too thin. The result, a devastating defeat. A devastating defeat and the beginning of its downfall. Rome, the great empire, it suffered the same fate. It expanded too far, controlled too many regions, and left itself vulnerable. The barbarians did not have to fight Rome's full might. They only had to exploit its scattered forces. The lesson is clear. Trying to be everywhere, it weakens your position. Power thrives in concentration. This law is not just about military conquest. It applies to business, it applies to career, and it applies to personal success. Many people make the mistake of chasing every trend, switching from one project to another, never mastering anything. But look at the most successful individuals, the great athletes, the billionaires, the artists who define generations. They do not divide their attention among 100 pursuits. They find one thing, they excel at and pour all their energy into it. Michael Jordan did not try to become a musician, an actor, and an athlete all at once. He focused on basketball with total dedication, and that single-minded focus made him a legend. In any organization, power is always concentrated. The real decision makers are not always the ones with the official titles. A wise person does not waste energy trying to please everyone. They identify the key source of power, the person who truly controls the operation, and align themselves with it. This is how influence is built. This is how influence is built. Just as a river gains strength by following a single path instead of spreading out into swamp, those who concentrate their forces find greater power and greater success. However, this law comes with a warning. When dealing with a stronger enemy, concentrating your forces can make you an easy target. In such situations, it is wiser to dissolve into the background, frustrate your opponent, and strike when the moment is right. Also, putting all your trust in a single source of power, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. If that person falls, you fall with them. That is why, while concentration is key, one must also prepare for uncertainties. Having multiple sources of support, it ensures that if one collapses, there are others to rely on. This balance between focus and adaptability, it is what leads to true and lasting power. Concentration is the key to mastery. Concentration is the key to mastery, the key to influence, and the key to dominance. The scattered mind achieves little, but the focused mind, it changes the world. The focused mind changes the world. Those who harness this law do not merely succeed. They leave a legacy. They leave a legacy. Choose your target, focus your forces, and strike with precision. That is the path to true power. So, this is the law number 23. Now, let's move to law number 24. Play the perfect court here. In Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, law number 24, it tells, play the perfect court here. It invites us to understand a strategy that has been used for centuries to climb the ladder of success, whether in royal courts or modern corporate settings. The perfect courtier, it is a person who excels in the art of subtlety, indirect influence, and making those in power feel important, while maintaining their own ambition behind the scenes. This law is not about flattery. This law is not about flattery, but for the sake of pleasing others, but about mastering the dynamics of powers in a way that works in your favor. In history, the court was a place where the most powerful figures gathered and where everything revolved around the ruler. Imagine the kings and the queens, they are all surrounded by their courtiers, each vying for favor, each trying to rise above the rest. But here is the key. Those who truly succeeded in these courts, They were not the loudest or they are not the most arrogant, but those who knew when to speak, when to remain silent, and how to use their influence in the subtle ways. Take for example Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, who despite being tutored by the brilliant Aristotle, he learned a hard lesson from his philosopher friend Callisthenes. Callisthenes, in his pursuit of honesty, he dared to criticize his ruler. He dared to criticize his ruler, which ultimately cost him his life. This serves as a powerful reminder that in the court of power, blunt honesty can often lead to downfall. Sometimes it is the art of indirect communication that wins the game. Another vivid example of playing the perfect courtier, it comes from ancient China. The scholars faced with a ruler who was quick to punish those who criticized him. He learned to use subtlety as a tool. When they needed to warn the emperor about his misrule, they did not criticize him directly. Instead, they inserted bizarre and unnatural events into the official histories, like two-headed sheep, or stars appearing in unusual places. The emperor, believing the strange reports, would understand the underlying message. The balance of the universe was being disturbed. This clever manipulation of information, it shows that even when the truth needs to be spoken, it must be done with fineness, in a way that will not provoke unnecessary anger from those in power. In the modern world, we still see this play out. Think of diplomats, think of CEOs, think of influential advisors who know how to navigate the delicate dance of power. But what about when things go wrong or when you overstep your boundaries? There is an important lesson here too. Consider the case of the crown keeper in ancient China. He went too far. By showing kindness to the ruler, covering him with his coat when he fell asleep in the garden. His overzealous actions, they were seen as a threat to the existing order. And for his efforts, he paid with his life. This teaches us that while we must strive to do more than what is expected of us, we must also know where the line is drawn. Over delivering, it can sometimes have unintended consequences. The perfect courtier knows when to hold back and when to step forward. This balance is key. Finally, we must remember that being a courtier does not mean sacrificing our integrity. It means understanding how to use our skills and talents to navigate power dynamics in a way that benefits both ourselves and those we serve. Fra Filippo Lippi, a Renaissance artist, turned a moment of captivity into an opportunity when he painted a portrait of his captive. His talent was so remarkable that it earned him freedom. Sometimes it is our own unique abilities that can make us stand out and change our fate. In conclusion, to play the perfect courtier is to understand the dynamics of power to manipulate situations gracefully and to position yourself as someone indispensable without appearing desperate. It's about knowing when to speak. It's about knowing when to speak, when to stay silent, and how to make others feel important while subtly working to secure your own position. Like the courtiers of the past, we must become magicians of appearance, knowing how to influence the right people. How to influence the right people at the right time. Right people at the right time, while always maintaining our dignity and purpose. By mastering the art of the perfect courtier, we can rise in any system of power without ever seeming to force our way. This is the 24th law. Now let's move to law number 25. Recreate yourself. Recreate yourself. Imagine a life where you are not defined by the roles others try to place on you, but where you create your own path, your own identity, and your own story. This idea is beautifully captured in Robert Greene's 25th law. Recreate yourself. Recreate yourself. Robert Greene urges us to not settle for the roles society assigns us, but instead to forge a new identity, one that commands attention and resonates with energy. This law teaches us that by becoming the master of our image, we can break free from limitations and stand out in the world, just like the actors on a grand stage. Throughout history, figures like Julius Caesar, they have understood this powerful connection between leadership and the art of drama. Caesar was not just a political leader, he was a master of spectacle. Even in his final moments, as he was being assassinated, he used his death as a dramatic performance, ensuring that even his exit was memorable and that the attention remained on him. His story reminds us that our power lies in the image we project and how we control our narrative. In life, we are all surrounded by expectations. Family, society, peers, they are all each trying to push us into predefined roles. But here is the reality. Once you accept a role, you limit yourself to the boundaries it imposes. It's like trying to fit into a box that was never made for you. True power comes from stepping outside of these roles and crafting an identity of your own choosing, one that reflects your inner strengths and passions. The process of self-creation is liberating, like a sculptor molding a masterpiece from a raw material. When you begin this journey of self-reinvention, think of it as an art form. Just like an actor transforms into various characters, you can reinvent yourself. This does not mean pretending. It's not pretending to be someone you are not, but rather consciously crafting the most powerful version of yourself. You can adopt dramatic techniques like surprise, suspense, and symbolism to amplify your impact. Imagine a performance where each move you make is intentional, where you hold the audience's attention not through force but through a cultivating presence. This is what. This is what it means to be a master of your image. This is what it means to be a master of your image. One of the first steps in recreating yourself is self-awareness. Understanding that you are the actor in your own life, and every choice you make, how you speak, how you dress, how you behave, they contribute to the character you are creating. Once you become self-conscious of your perceived, how you are perceived, you can begin to take control of your emotions and appearance. It's like being on stage and you are deciding exactly what role you want to play in each moment. The second step is self-control. Actors can change their expressions to match the emotions they need to portray, and similarly, you must learn to control your own responses. It's pretending. It's not pretending, acting. Life will throw challenges your way, but how you react, it can shape the narrative you create. If you stay calm and composed, even in stressful situations, you become someone others look up to, someone whose presence command respect. Then comes creating a memorable character. You need to stand up, you need to stand out and leave a lasting impression. But remember, drama is not just about the flashy moments. It's about rhythm, it's about timing. You don't need to make every moment an over-the-top spectacle. Sometimes subtly is what keeps the audience engaged. Like in a well-played drama, you must know when to slow things down and when to speed them up, maintaining control over the story you are telling. Something. As you navigate this process, don't forget that your entrances and exits matter. Every first impression counts, and so does how you leave a situation. The key is to be graceful and impactful. You don't have to overdo things to capture attention. Rather, it's about the power of stillness and the poise you carry in every action. The beauty of this law is that it encourages adaptability. Life is full of changing circumstances. And as you grow and as you evolve, you will be required to wear different masks. This is not about deceit, but about understanding the role you need to play in any given moment or in any given situation. One day, you might need to be the bold leader, another, the compassionate friend. The ability to move between these roles with ease, it is what makes you powerful. Ultimately, Robert Greene's law, 25th law, to recreate yourself, it reminds us that we are the authors of our own story. We are the writers of our own story. Don't let the world write your script for you. Take charge. Take charge of your narrative. Craft your identity with the intention and become the dramatic character who commands attention. When you control the stage of your life, you become not just an actor, but the director, shaping every scene and ensuring your legacy is one of power and influence. In conclusion, remember this. Life is your stage. You are the star. You are the hero. Recreate yourself. craft an identity that reflects your inner strength and potential and play the role that you are always meant to perform. The world is waiting for your performance. And also, the world is waiting for my performance too. I'm already doing that. It's time to step into the spotlight and let your true self